你好, in this lesson, we'll be discussing a major type of Chinese characters. Before we get started, let's review some of the characters we learned in the last lesson. Mama, mama, 姐姐,姐姐, 妹妹, 妹妹. What do they have in common? Do you see what I see? They all have the same component on the left side. We call these components radicals. Radicals appear repeatedly in different characters, as you can see in our examples. They often represent certain meanings. The one we're learning today happens to be involved from a character 女. 女 means female. For example, a daughter in Chinese is 女儿. 女儿. 儿 means descendant. A female descendant is a daughter. Another example, a little girl is 女孩. 女孩. 孩 means child. A female child is a girl. If I tell you that Wang means the king, what do you think 女王 means? 女王. That's right, the queen. Back to our earlier examples. 妈妈, 姐姐, and 妹妹 are all female family members. So know that 女 radical is doing its job well, representing the meaning of the character. Now, if I give you this word 奶奶, you know it must be some kind of female. In fact, you'd be right. 奶奶 means grandma on the father's side, aka 爸爸的妈妈. 爸爸的妈妈. If we look at the right side of the character 奶, it's actually another character, 奶. It's an adverb that means therefore. The meaning doesn't really matter here. What's important is its pronunciation. Yes, you probably have noticed by now, it also reads 奶, and that's the same pronunciation as the grandma 奶. To sum up, the left side of the 奶 character is the 女 radical, which indicates the meaning of female. The right side character, 奶, indicates the pronunciation. This is a typical phono-semantic character. Both the meaning and the pronunciation can be inferred just by looking at it. More than 80% of the Chinese characters are phono-semantic characters. Let's look at another example, 姥姥. It means grandma on the mother's side. 妈妈的妈妈. Actually, there are a couple of different words for this grandma depending on where you're from, but we call her 姥姥where I'm from. Again, 女 radical on the left side. Does the right side look familiar to you? I hope so, because it's the 老 as in 老师, aka 老师的老. It's also 老板的老. Now it's clear that 老 is also a phono-semantic character. How about this one? If I tell you that the right side character reads 沈, do you know how to read this word? 沈沈, 沈沈. It means father's younger brother's wife. I know it's a bit convoluted. 爸爸的弟弟的老婆. 老婆 means wife. Yes, it also has the new radical on the bottom. Once you see it, it's everywhere. I can go on, but you get the gist. These phono-semantic characters are like tiny little cheat sheets that can help you memorize the characters. Now let's go back to our original examples. The right side of ma is a character pronounced as ma, and they have different tones. The right side of 姐 is also a character, 且, close but not quite the same. The right side of mei is a character that reads wei. Well, the pronunciation changed over the 1,000 years of history, and sometimes they're off a little bit. Think of it as a cheat sheet produced by an intern who is not always super reliable, but it's definitely better than not having one. Lastly, I want to discuss two more characters with a new radical. The first one is 好. It is not a phono-semantic character, but a compound ideogram, so we can't analyze it with the method we've been using today. We'll discuss it later when we learn more of those characters. Another character we learned with a new radical is 他. 他 means she, but it only started to convey this meaning at the beginning of the 20th century when Chinese scholars were trying to regulate the modern Chinese and decided to have a separate third-person pronoun for female. In ancient literature, this character is another version of 姐, which explains why the right side of 她 is 也, sounding nothing like 她, but more similar to 姐. In short, 它 used to be a phono-semantic character, but now it's a loan character. We'll discuss more of those later as well. I hope you find this short discussion of characters helpful. I'll see you in the next video where we learn how to count in Chinese. 谢谢，再见。